and again, that's it. So, if any of you guys want to ask questions to me, so I'm up for it.
Eric, go on ahead.
My name is Eric. I'm a second-year undergrad, and my main, I guess, concerns about, or why I really want to join Senate is to try to better increase student quality of life, specifically with buildings, anything really related to maintenance issues. There's a lot of just general issues around campus regarding safety, security, and storage. A lot of space allocation that I believe that I want to change. There's some security issues just generally around campus with certain labs, certain just general areas being unsecured where items can be removed or people could be doing unsavory things or otherwise. And there's also, other issues regarding building maintenance where, we have buildings just in shambles. We have asbestos still in a majority of our buildings, actually. So in general, I just want to work to try to better increase student quality of life by improving those issues. Actually, I'm going to be going to a meeting this Friday with Nova, with some of the building maintenance people to work this out. But beyond that, I also do want to help out with the student board engagement as well. That was something I was thinking about because I know there's a lot of clubs out there and they have a lot of crappy events, put it lightly. So that is also something I do want to strike home. I think we need just better clubs, better engagement with the school. I mean, even with SGA, we don't have many non-members consistently coming in. So I think just finding better ways to communicate with the student body and to better bring people into clubs and SGA is something I'm definitely concerned about. So if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up.
And with that, we're going to be going into our normal 5-minute question and answer period. So does anyone have any questions of either of our nominees?
Anyone online?
Checking online as well, I think. No, they're going to be here.
I know.
How do you plan to improve student engagement and student?
So again, I'm talking with Isaiah right now because again, we are going to institutional restructuring pretty much. Again, I'm talking with Isaiah on this. Again, I've been introducing ideas. Again, I want to have the late night event that we had last semester, right? So I want to have events like those, but instead of doing once every spring, I want them to have 2 events every semester pretty much. Again, we can cut back on some of the costs, and I believe that we can make that happen. I think that would increase so much engagement on campuses. That's one of my ideas. Again, second is giving there's another idea of mine. So again, what I want to do is we have so many clubs over here, but again, the thing is, again, we don't know what events they are hosting. So that's I want to make a head count of all the people who are hosting events. I want them to keep a head count, and we can also reduce or increase budget for the individual organizations. Yeah. Oh, so that's one of my ideas. I have much more, but again, yeah.
Are there any other questions? Joseph.
This
Yeah.
one's for Eric. I think you mentioned something about safety or areas around campus. I just wanted to know if you had any specific examples from your experience that you.
Yeah. So regarding safety, there's a number of issues on campus that I've noted. Well, firstly, with public safety, just in general, public safety is pretty crappy, if I'm being honest. Specifically at night. I mean, I go on night walks, de-stress, and every time I'll pass by IIT Tower, and almost consistently the person monitoring the cameras is either on their phone or fast asleep. But outside of that, there's also issues with building safety. Namely, there are rooms that are open that should not be open, that contain hazardous materials or other things that shouldn't be allowed, such as, there's machinery rooms around campus that are consistently left unlocked, unchecked, where, if someone were to get in, they could get injured or, there would be no way for them to even get help if something had happened. Additionally, probably the biggest issue with me and the thing I'm going to be talking with the maintenance people about is over the beginning of this semester, there was a room in IIT Tower that contained nuclear waste that was left unchecked and unlocked with no cameras or any surveillance. And I think that audit of said room to make sure that no material was removed.
How did you become aware of these issues?
I've been around campus, just,
Just randomly stumbled upon nuclear waste?
here, there. I've heard of it. I'm not gonna say if I've been, but there are these variety of issues around campus.
It's just, I'm just wondering like how much of these like are rumors or versus like reality.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you want to be more of a proactive kind of senator with this kind of stuff instead of reacting to something, which I think is perfectly fine within it. It's a respectable kind of agenda to have as a senator.
Are there any other questions? Online? Nova.
I'd like to make a motion to move into discussion.
Second? You guys wouldn't mind leaving the room real quick?
Eric's in the door.
Thanks. All right. So, any points of discussion? Nova, I see your hand already.
As they both mentioned, I have been working with both AJ and Eric for the last, from at least 2 weeks to up to a few months at this point, on the issues they have provided. I am well aware, Eric mentioned he's going to the facilities meeting this Friday to give a presentation to the Vice President of Administration and Lab Safety about the issues he's concerned with. He's clearly very, very knowledgeable about different facets of the campus that I think a lot of students are not. Same with AJ. He is a very active member in everything he does. He's a very dedicated person. He has expressed a fairly long time interest in working with the Food Advisory Board. He's very aware of the changes that are going on in Food Advisory Board and has been consistent in giving feedback to me. So with that all being said, I guess I officially endorse both of these candidates in a way, even though they're not fully student life. And I would like to urge everyone to vote yay for their senator nominations.
Well, just asking Nova, Eric is fairly newer student, correct?
He's a sophomore, yes.
Right. It's like I'm just curious, like how he knows like already so much, being so young. It's like
That's fair. I think a lot of it, he talks to a lot of people. He's very sociable. He's very good at talking to people and hearing stuff. He also, like he said, he walks around campus a lot. He's a lot more like just walking to places just around campus, and he's noticed a lot of things. He's very observant about his surroundings and the place around him. He gets a lot of his information from a variety of sources. I can confirm about everything he said as well. So he's not like just getting it from rumors.
yeah, no, I mean I was just asking because those could be good sources for us to have, because I didn't know about any of these issues, and I don't know if anyone else knew about these issues.
It's not like one source where he gets this information. It really is like he is an incredibly sociable guy and just talks to a lot of people about a lot of things.
It would be good to have him if he knows like people who just can give him that information and he can relay that to us. I think that would be pretty good.
I agree.
You have your hand up?
No, I was just gonna make the point, like you said, like how much of it is actually like based off of rumors or anything, because I mean, taking into account like if he's not personally experiencing it, like how much of it is actually true, but you kind of talked about that already, so that was just.
No, yeah, he's been talking to me about these issues. It's a month between facility meetings, so I've had time to either personally verify it or ask other people. So these are very real concerns. Like I have either personally witnessed it or there are people I strongly trust who have personally witnessed it.
I would like to note that I have been at this school for less time, but have personally witnessed those issues.
Are there any other points of discussion? Chris?
For both of them, I think it's really nice because they were engaging with us as just like regular students before like nominations for them. And it's, I'm not people with that kind of dedication and interaction with us. I think it'd be nice to have them on board. So
Yeah, I really like that both of them came with specific issues to talk about. And
Are there any other points of discussion? Online? Nova?
I'd like to move the previous question.
Do I have a second? Do I have any objection? Seeing none, we can let him back in. And we can move on to the next agenda item, which is the student organization proposal of the Young Democratic Socialists of America.
Thank you. And you want to, pull up my presentation?
Got it right here.
Thank you. This is
Yes.
Do I have permission to set up?
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, so I have sent the proposal, or Joel has sent it out on the agenda for today. This is more of simplifying the first page of it or so. The second page of information like budget and stuff is pretty self-explanatory, so I didn't add it on these slides. So what is YDSA? I think is a pretty simple question. It stands for Young Democratic Socialists of America. It is a uniquely, as it says up there, a uniquely anti-capitalist student organization. One thing we've been seeing on campus, I think over the last few years, is an increase in interest for politically oriented student orgs on campus. Two that immediately comes to my mind is Students for Justice in Palestine and Young Americans for Liberty, both of which are single issue student orgs. But one thing we are missing on campus is kind of a bigger issue, like bigger tent student organization. And through my time talking about it, there has been a continual interest for a anti-capitalist student organization over the years. And so I'm here before the Senate today to propose such an organization affiliated with the Young Democratic Socialists of America at large. So some of the key positions that kind of pertain to student life. Advocating for student workers. A lot of what makes anti-capitalist organizations anti-capitalist is the relationship of labor to the person itself who does the work. In particular, working with people who want to form unions on campus, promoting workers' rights so that people are the workers who make the campus run are more dignified and treated with respect, and also working with graduate students who provide a lot of the research that the school publishes. Movements on progressive politics, like the Green New Deal, reckoning with capitalism in general, and racial equality are all big tenets of the Young Democratic Socialists of America. And I think it's something that really resonates with a lot of students from a multitude of discussions. So promoting that and giving an official forum for students to express those opinions is another goal. And then also just general student life advocacy, like international student help, fairer pricing across campus, and putting students over profits are all also big goals of YDSA. General benefit to the student body. I think one of the most important ones, and something we hope to kind of cascade across all of campus, is providing a safer social space for political discussions, allowing students to have a spot to voice their opinions and to be able to engage with the political environment, both locally and at large nationally. Hosting events geared towards public speaking and building organizational skills. These are important not only to socialist student or students, but also just in general. So one of the events we have planned is to host a kind of public speaking forum. And one thing I want to do is kind of collaborate with different student organizations on that. And in general, like with any political organization, teaching students to create an impact, both locally and globally. There's a lot of things a lot of students have opinions on our campus, in Chicago, in the state of Illinois, or the United States, or even at large, and allowing students, teaching them the skills to focus those opinions into actual change, I think is something very important. That's all I have for this slide. But some other things I kind of had on the proposal, event-wise, I know there's a voter registration drive. Obviously, being involved in politics, one of the greatest ways you can get involved is to vote. So having voter registration drives to help students get registered to vote before election seasons is a pretty big deal. I think general body meetings of bi-weekly, give students a more casual space to share that amongst people, like-minded people. And yeah, I also have a budget on there. It's only really covers, there's two things on it. One of them is the food costs, obviously with hosting a lot of events, getting students to get involved. A really great way to do that is with food. So we have a pretty, I think, modest proportionate for food, and then also a smaller sum of money towards advertising material. Stuff like getting a tablecloth so we can be out on the NTC bridge, printing for posters, stuff like that. Some of that would be one-time cost, some of that would be renewable. But overall, I think you will all find that the budget is very modest and respectable for the student org size I kind of have. And yeah, I think that's all. Well, I guess one more thing is I do have 7 members, two things. I have 7 members on the proposal, but since I made that proposal, I've also published our Discord to the student IIT hub, and we've gotten, I think, 16 students who have permanently stayed in there. So it's been growing, and there's clearly interest for the student org, I believe. And then also a concern you might have is I don't currently have an advisor listed. I am currently in the works with speaking to an advisor, and I actually meet with her tomorrow morning. I just didn't want to put her name down because we haven't like officialized it, but I'm very hopeful. She seems very interested and willing to work with us. So I want to let you know, I'm not going into this without like a plan for an advisor. Now, I think that's all I have.
All right, cool. Does anyone have any questions for Nova? Or Chris?
When it comes to you talking about like discussion stuff, would that also be, I'm not gonna say debate because those are interesting. But would you allow folks from different viewpoints to come in and be part of those discussions? I'm not talking about like your general meetings because those are like that
Yes.
space.
So this is something I've been kind of thinking about, and it's something I want to talk more with my student org. You are right, you hit it. The general body meetings are more of the kind of safer space for students. Like, they can talk about issues with like-minded students, obviously members within the student org. As for the public speaking forums, I guess I want to talk more with my fellow student org members about that. One proposed method we kind of had is a sign-up form beforehand. So have it open to the student public, but have it so we can kind of vet out people who might want to kind of ruin the sanctity of a public forum. We're not trying to like promote a debate culture like you kind of hinted at. We're trying to offer a space where students can public or freely voice their opinions without too much of harm to other students.
Yeah. Okay. My fault question would have been methods because again, kind of just because political stuff can get tense and I would worry about like randos coming in and like there's fighting. Yeah. I appreciate having a sign up method and everything.
Is there any other questions? AJ?
Is this affiliated with the official body essay?
Yes, the idea is if we were to get confirmed, we are going, and we've already been in discussion with the YDSA chapter here in Chicago to officially become affiliated with them. And one of the things we also have in the events is maybe at some point allow student org members to attend YDSA meetings in Chicago.
Are there any other questions? Are there any online? Seeing none, do I have a motion to move into discussion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Do I have any objections? Seeing none, we can move into discussion.
Thank you.
All right, comments, questions, concerns, everything that you are worried about. AJ?
So how much like budget is accounted for other political organizations around IIT, like Yale and other people? So
If I'm understanding your question correctly, it's what does like the average student org?
no, how much money are they receiving? Yeah,
They are requesting around 16
Yale.
per semester. Yeah.
That's low.
That's about 6 meetings with 20 people each.
It's not bad.
So I'm not talking about a body. I'm talking about and other people. So have they requested money?
Not yet.
So again, I just want to be like fair to all political organizations because again, I don't want us to like be biased towards one specific organization. Because again, as a job as an institution over here, it's to be like neutral. So again, we don't like get into controversy and stuff.
They can, if the other orgs, if they want money, they can go to finance board and request it.
But what if the finance board doesn't have money and they say like, okay, sorry, we don't have money. They can bring us
We
like-
have money. It's the student activity fund.
I
Every,
know, but again, what if it just gets full?
That's
that's something for finance board to handle.
Yeah, finance board has a surplus at this point in time, so they can afford, this organization, and then the whole, they get full. That's the point of finance board, is that they're able to dish.
Yeah, just making sure because again, I don't want like anyone to like be like favored one over the other.
Yeah.
Because as an organization, it's a like job to be like neutral.
Because also this org, they can get approved and they can request their budget. And the finance board can be like, we'll approve this, but not approve that. And then they'll get feedback and they can do, like you could do special sessions, request a special hearing with finance board if you have like an extra thing that you realize, oh, we didn't get covered or you need to revise your budget. So there's that kind of stuff. Yeah, like us approving it isn't us necessarily saying, yes, we want them to also get all of the money. Because
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that again, we don't want to favor one political organization over the other.
Yeah, that it's largely finance board's job to actually allocate the funds. They are, when student orgs give the Senate an idea of what their budget is going to be, it's in a general idea or estimate of how much they're going to spend per semester. To see if their budget is ludicrously large, we probably wouldn't approve a student organization, which goes into being approved. Oh, we're going to spend $25,000. That's a huge amount of money. But if a student or goes into it, say like 3,000, 4,000 and below, because that's what a club's designation is they can be allocated up to $4,000 unless they get an exemption by 9%. So it's up to finance based. Chris.
I also want to say, I agree with Nova's assertion that there's been an interest in more political groups on campus. I've seen like different like conservative groups, different like international politics groups and stuff on campus and stuff like that. So like, I think like we should have space for everyone. So I don't see why we would say no to this. They have a modest budget. They're going to do stuff that's going to be open to, the rest of the student body. And stuff like that. So yeah, I'd say sure.
Joseph.
So would this sort of be like opening a door to other political organizations, starting basically orgs on campus?
We already have those actually. As Nova mentioned, there's the Society for Justice for Palestine. I'm probably butchering that name. So there's that student organization, but there is also Young Americans for Liberty, which is a right.
The Second Amendment, if you go on the bridge during the lunch hour, sometimes they'll be out there. They have like, they're usually discussing like Second Amendment rights type stuff.
In addition to that, there's also a more long-standing student organization called Citizens Climate Lobby, which I believe is still.
Yeah, they're doing stuff this semester.
They've been Citizens Climate Lobby specifically has been here for actually since I've been at IIT.
So my next question is, what is sort of been the precedent for more radical kind of like political organizations on campus,
Can you define radical?
like more extreme on the political spectrum?
extremist. Right?
Yeah, like a lot of what Nova was talking about is pretty standard in like other places. So I don't know.
mean, like typically, like socialism is like more on the extreme end of the political spectrum.
AJ.
Again, it's not like, again, I'm not answering his question, but again, I'm saying that I would like prefer more political organizations because again, it will increase student engagement unless like until it doesn't get like uncivilized and stuff. So unless
And that's kind of what my question was like aiming towards, like, do we tolerate like more like extreme orgs?
So this
I think-
organization is, although associated with YDSA, with the democratic socialism, it doesn't, it's not only promoting ideas of democratic socialism. The ideas are that, there's gonna be general board meetings that, have a collection of students. There's both two one that you can sign up for, and you have similarly minded, and then you have, public ones. So it's like, it's really a 50-50. You have a public session where, people from all sorts of, events where it's not a debate, but it's just like an education topic of just explaining some political topic just as a face of some, political education site that have this, whereas some of the other ones don't. They're focused on a specific topic, such as the Second Amendment or climate, whereas this one acts as more of a general, a broader, it's less of an extreme thing and more of just a general, idea to host more a greater diversity of ideas.
And I think extremism is also somewhat relative, and it's kind of ill-defined in the way we're talking about it. For some, Second Amendment rights might seem extremist. If you were in a place where, like perhaps somewhere in Europe, where guns are not as commonly found, and people were openly talking about having more guns, that might be an extremist viewpoint. And similarly, people might see democratic socialism as extremist, and some people might even see the Palestinian advocacy group as an extremist organization, depending on where you stand. But I think so long as a political organization standpoint is let's go, so long it's not like let's go do something really messed up, let's go commit violence in the name of our political organization. I don't really think you can classify it as extremist. I think so long the club remains civilized, remains focused at heart about what it's advertising, and doesn't call for political violence or anything of such as a political uprising or something of that nature, I think it really can't even be classified as extremist, but rather just political discussion.
And with that, we are actually out of time for 5 minutes. Do I have a motion to extend, or are we just moving on?
We should be moving to vote.
Okay, do I have a second? Do I have any objections? Seeing none, we can go ahead and release the voting form. And with that, we are also going to be moving on to our next agenda item today. Yes.
I would like to ask for only SGA current senators to be here with us.
Okay, got it. Nova, did you?
I object.
Okay, I have an objection.
Isn't this live streamed anyway?
Yes, it
We
is.
have to end the live
We
stream.
would have to end the live stream if that went through. So I have a motion. Do I have a second for that motion? Motion to move into executive session. Technically, I know, Nova, you're objecting, but technically in order to get a motion passed through, you do have to have a second behind it.
Can we ask the reason why?
Yeah, sure. Because just with the idea that we're presenting, we just feel that it'd be better for it not to be spread at the current moment, because we feel like it would ruin the idea that's behind it, basically.
Why was Nova objecting?
May I explain my objection?
Yes.
Being familiar with the matter, executive sessions, as stated in the Constitution, are meant to be for only highly sensitive meetings, as the current wording of the Constitution exists. I don't believe this is a highly sensitive matter, so I object.
Okay. Again, I need a second for the motion to move into executive session.
Will we still get to present if they doesn't get a second?
yes, you will still be able to present either way.
Yeah.
The difference is whether we move into executive session, i.e. removing any, by your specific request, it would be removing any non-active SGA members other than the presenters, which would include, AJ, Eric, Graham, yeah. And even if we do get a second for it, we would still need to vote on it due to the objection.
Information.
Yes.
This would also mean we'd have to kick off all the senators who are online. Because we'd have to end the live stream for the executive session. Or we'd have to end the, I guess, no, I get it.
We would have to end the live stream.
But you can still have the Zoom meeting. And
And we can also put people into the waiting room as well. So it's possible.
yes, you are correct on that.
So, one last call. Do I have a second for that executive session? Online either? Seeing none, that motion fails. You want to give your presentation?
Sure.
Yeah.
You're just clicking right.
Yes.
Um, so, yeah, it's really, yeah, you can see.
Keep this private and then I see takeover. It's funny.
Exactly. I know. It wasn't like, that whole thing wasn't meant to be like anything serious. Like, I understand, like, I didn't realize like going to executive session would be like it's actually like super serious thing. I thought it was just, anyway, yeah, sorry about that.
You're fine.
Yeah, so this is our idea. It's called Scrolls Takeover, okay? So here's the main idea of our plan. So we know that lots of people click the front page of the IIT website, and we already know that SGA and Squirrel Club do want to collaborate. So we kind of came up with an idea. We came up with an idea called the Squirrels Takeover, which basically would replace, not replace, but we would add squirrels pictures and like kind of funny things onto the SGA front page once we get the website up and running and onto the front page of IIT. And it's just be for like a few days or however long is permitted. We do want to work with other clubs such as Cyberhawks, like any arts clubs or anybody that wants to work with us, because first it'll give free promotion, free advertisement for them, and also it would just help get that interconnectivity in between all students. We don't want to tell anybody about it, which is kind of why I wanted to move into that, because we feel like when it drops, there's going to be a lot of commotion on campus, which is kind of our whole plan. We kind of want to just like drop this out of the blue, because then everybody's going to be talking about it. If people know about it beforehand, people are going to be like, oh, that's lame. We don't really want to do it. So that's why we kind of wanted to keep it private. We will collaborate with OTS so that we can get all the proper verifications, everything that we do need for this project. And here's why we think it's useful. First of all, it's going to promote a lot of buzz for SGA. So I don't think, if I'm being honest, like nobody's going to be clicking on the SGA page when it first drops, because it's just not that well advertised. Like just, yeah. So we thought that we could spice it up a little bit by adding Squirrel Club, because we kind of are talked about on campus, and also adding a whole bunch of other clubs on campus would definitely promote this buzz for SGA and these other clubs. It definitely promotes student involvement, because it's going to be a huge thing that's going to be talked about on campus when it finally drops. Again, it also promotes other club involvement and recognition. Again, we're trying to get other clubs to work with us, maybe even like graphic artist designers, things like that. Students will be more inclined to become involved with the website. More people that know about it is just better for SGA as a whole. Because most people probably don't know about the website, or like, especially when it's going to drop. So this will give more people opportunity to know about it. And again, we already have a lot of student involvement, so we can help create more awareness. And here's kind of some ideas of what we have in mind. Yeah, we got like pictures of squirrels, and then we'd have like a link up top, like around here, just like follow IIT squirrels, follow this page. Just some more like Valley squirrels, come on. And then obviously we replaced Raj's pictures. No, that's a joke. We're not actually doing that. We have any questions? Yes.
So I run Tech News, and every April Fools, we run a April Fools issue where we publish fake news. We say it's fake news. It's typically in Comic Sans. it would be cool, you know, to like this would be cool because this is, you know, this is pretty harmless. You know, it's just a fun thing, and I think it would be cool because you talked about bringing in other like orgs. I think that is also really nice because if we don't just throw in squirrels, but like maybe like other clubs logos and stuff like that to pop it up more on the website would be really nice. And then do you have like, because I know like Tech News, we do our stuff April Fools. Are you thinking about doing that for April Fools, or do you have like some other like timeline? Or have you not figured it out yet?
Sure. So the current timeline was like I would help Elio with help on the website. I don't know if he has an exact date for when that's coming up. I know it's sometime next semester. We didn't have an exact date set, but we did want to kind of drop it during a time when I guess April Fools would be a great time to do that, but like during a time when like you know it's kind of died down a little bit and like we just want to bring some liveliness to campus basically. So yeah, but we don't have anything like super set in stone, but that'd be a great idea to definitely keep in mind. Yeah.
First of all, I would say it's a very good idea, man. Okay. Second of all, I think we should like take it a step further and like even like put it on screens at MTCC and that stuff as well. And even like put them by.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
Yeah.
hey, that could work.
It's a real power.
And it's not just at MTCC, it's on every idle projector.
If we can do that, that would be amazing.
You can even put like
Yeah, but
in classes and stuff, like just pop it randomly.
yeah, that
Yeah.
definitely could be a thing. Yeah.
If I can make a point of information, we do have the domain over those. Like
Really?
we have the power to suggest what goes on those monitors.
Oh, that would actually be
It's
amazing.
Not like a
I mean,
baseline.
That's crazy.
I'm also in with Chris Provost at OTS. So
That would be huge. That can definitely work. Yeah.
How do you think the conversation with OTS is going to go?
Yeah. So. So. Okay. Yeah. So obviously, you know, we have to talk to them. We're gonna talk to them at Squirrel Club first. And then we're obviously gonna bring up SGA's. Like, if you guys are on board, we're obviously gonna be like, you know, SGA is kind of on board with this, and our main like focus is gonna be like, this is just purely for entertainment wise. Like, we're just like here for like, we're not trying to like push any propaganda. We're not trying to push anything. Like, we're here just for fun, basically. Like, and that's like our whole message is gonna be. And like, obviously, we still have to talk to OTS. We have to talk to probably the President Rogers, somebody. But like, we're gonna get in those discussions soon. Yeah.
Are there any other? Nova?
Am I allowed to ask, like, am I allowed to just make a statement and not just a question? Or are we having a separate discussion period?
My intention was to have a separate discussion period.
Then I will,
Are there any other questions?
I also did want to mention that we're planning on like maybe hiring a graphics artist. And we were like wondering if we can go like half on half on the cost. Like, yeah, we'll probably just pay them $100 or so. So like 50 each. Or if there was a graphics artist like club, we did want to get their involvement. So we did want to look into that as well. If
Computer animation.
is that a thing?
It's an actual student organization.
Okay, we'll reach out to them then. Yeah, that'd be great.
Are there any other questions?
to move to discussion.
Do I have a second? Second. Any objections? All right. Comments, concerns? Nova, you had something.
yeah. I don't, does he have to leave?
No.
Yeah.
It's not a
we're
vote.
voting.
It's not-
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a voting item. It's just giving opinions right now.
So, yeah, just as some background, I work with OTS as VP of Student Life. I want to say I really like the entertainment value of this. I think it's really funny, and it is something that I think would be cool. But also knowing that OTS is a giant and constantly busy beast, especially this year, they are doing, you know, the whole move from like they're literally changing the infrastructure of like what the campus runs on. Like, even if it doesn't look like that to you guys, like they are doing work on that Okta and Access IIT stuff. So again, I really like it. I think it's very funny. And like in a perfect world where, you know, OTS like just had all the time they wanted to do stuff, I would like without hesitancy like put my support behind this. However, I would rather I would rather like not put SGA's endorsement or anything like this behind it until that discussion with OTS has been had, because that I think is a lot more massive of a hurdle than we are. And I think their opinion honestly matters exponentially more than us.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
So we are planning on having OTS put our link on the front page no matter what, like once it's finished.
I believe that wasn't LEO's intent.
Yeah, right. So we were like, our plan was to like use that already approved, like LEOs, like whenever we discuss with them, and then just tell them, hey, like, don't like remove all the squirrel stuff because that's supposed to be there. That's kind of like where our plan is going. But we definitely will still talk to OTS.
So actually, I have a clarifying question. When you were thinking, what websites are you thinking of modifying? The main IIT page or the SGA page?
Yeah, so we were thinking of probably just like doing the SGA page, but if we had permission to do both, but seeing how she mentioned, OTS is huge and everything, I don't think we'll have time to do the main page, but we could still do the SGA page if that was something but we definitely would look into that.
Well, also, I do think that AJ's comment about like the screens and like MTCC,
That could be
like, you know, student orgs are allowed to have access to those. I would not mind putting some squirrels all over. No, legit, April Fool's issue. I'm gonna make it the squirrel issue for Tech News. Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. You know, it's like, I'm always fine like boosting other orgs on Tech News. I also think too, like, especially if this is like the spring semester is our longer semester, at least it feels like it. And it would be super nice to have something like this, you know, to liven things up. Because I know I keep bringing up Tech News, I'm sorry, but like every year consistently we get feedback on our April Fool's issue that it really makes people's day and stuff like that. And the entertainment value is a lot. You know, for people who are busy doing schoolwork and work. So like, I kind of, I agree with Nova's assertion that, OTS is busy. But if you do like talk to them and get like, I mean, not if you talk to them, but if you get their approval, then like, I don't see why not, you know?
I'd also like to say on that guard, again, just reiterating the OTS thing, I think that's a very like a giant hurdle. And on the other hand, like Chris mentioned, the monitors and Adrian, the monitors would be a great way. That's a very low effort. And this is like basically a shout out to Graham and OCL because they, I think, would be highly more likely to work on this. And Graham, feel free to like talk after me. But you know, going to the monitors, maybe taking up some of the window spaces, especially the ones that aren't reserved on the MTCC bridge, getting posters around. You could work with ORL to get either artwork or posters in the residence buildings. I think there's a lot of places that aren't OTS and like have a lot of more leniency and kind of flexibility to do a squirrel takeover. Again, like Tech News, student orgs, like, I just want to shy away from OTS because they are so big and incredibly busy.
I have to say that again, there are so many like students who don't even like visit the main websites. So it will be a giant hurdle and it might not even be. You can just do everything on campus based, so that would be great. If we can even contact the RHA and just instruct all the RHs for the individual.
Isaiah?
Yeah, I think this is really funny. That's why I asked the original question about OTS, because that would be a hurdle. I do still think it is worthwhile to ask so because it's busy. So I was still talking to OTS, there's very nice guys in there. However, I also think you should incorporate the secretaries at the dean's offices in the 19th floor tower because they're like really bored and they just really enjoy just having fun with students. You could definitely get like most of the deans.
Are there any other points of discussion?
Yeah, this is super cool and creative, and I'm really glad y'all like thought of this and brought this to us. Like,
Just gonna get right out of
I want to see this happen. Like this kind of stuff, like it's not unheard of. Like I think like, I don't know, like freshman year, there wasn't, like, for me, like, some of y'all weren't here. Okay, sorry, feeling old. Like, like people, even in the screens right now, there's like gifs from like SNL clips and stuff like that. It's not all like super serious school stuff. Um, and like I think like COVID made stuff feel a little bit more serious for a while, but like I want to bring some fun back, Like if we can't get the yacht, let's get the squirrel takeover. Or both.
We've basically run out of time, but Tessa, you can go ahead.
I would like to note that, like, if a prospective student were looking at it, they would see squirrels, they would be so down to be here. That's all.
If I was to summarize everything, it seems like we think it's a cool idea. It might be hard with OTS, but if you get the okay, we'll be behind you.
Yep.
But also go in other directions with OCL, RHA, ORL as well.
Oh,
So I guess in the future then with this work, after they talk to OTS and stuff like that with SGA, I guess Squirrel Club would, or I guess Zion through Squirrel Club because he's a senator would propose what like a resolution just for SGA's backing then to OTS after that point.
Effectively, yeah.
and a point of information. I meet with, again, like I kind of hinted at earlier, I meet with OTS. If you want to start that preliminary discussion, my meetings, well, it seems like the timeline is kind of next semester. So if you wanted to attend one of those meetings, I update during my executive reports. You will know well in advance when I have those meetings. And if you wanted to attend those, you three, or if just one of you want to, could reach out to me. It's something.
All right. Thank you for that. Wonderful idea. All right. With that, we are going to move on to executive reports. Nova?
Thank you. So for those who aren't in the know, there is a PSAC meeting that is this Thursday. Besides the general SGA matters that we will be bringing up, I will also be discussing the SJP flag promotion, basically getting it on their radar and letting them know that this is something that OCL and myself, SGA, are all wanting to see happen, and getting the changes for the flag guidelines. I've been over this like 5 different exec reports now, so I'm not going to get too much into it, but just letting you guys know I will be bringing it up at the PSAC meeting on Thursday. OCL meeting Friday. Those are normally on Tuesday, but due to a variety of factors, we were not able to meet. Still the same agenda as I shared last week, sharing changes about SGA to them, inviting them to the GBM, stuff like that. Facilities meeting is also Friday. I have a lot of follow-ups to ask about. Excuse me. Notable ones off the top of my head: the Divvy bike rack, the Amazon lockers on campus, and a few other maintenance-related things. I did get a follow-up actually today from Bruce for the students who are concerned about the Gonzalez washers and dryers. Those will be replaced over the winter break. So if you live in Gonzales or if you have friends that live in there, let them know that their input directly resulted in this change because they did not know beforehand. I'm also going to bring up the fact that Pritzker cold, high-rise buildings, residential buildings. I'm going to bring up some concerns about that. I've had a lot of discussions with students who live in Kasich and Cunningham in particular about various different concerns that are kind of structural to those buildings. So I'll be bringing a lot of those up. As was kind of discussed earlier from Eric, there will also be a presentation about old buildings / lab maintenance. He already went into detail about that, so I don't think there's anything more to be said up from my end. And then also, like OCL, sharing changes about SGA, the Constitution, the changing of the student life role and all that. And then also inviting them to the GBM.
Eric, you have a question?
What is the high-rise concerns?
Those are the things, I think you were there for some of them, where we were talking with like Amelia, the discussions we've had. Some of them are about cooling. The cooling cutoff period is kind of asymmetric. It might work for lower floors because they could just open a window to help maintain temperature, but for higher floors, it's not really amicable. There's stuff about the volume of the bathroom hand dryers just being too loud at night. Quality of soap in the buildings, temperature of the laundry rooms. Those are just a few I can remember off the top of my head, but it's general. I know you were there for some of those. Some of those things, yeah.
I thought there was like imminent.
No. It's more of like, I should say like, I guess structural is still the term, but yes, I get what you mean. No, it's just like how the building was designed. Like, obviously it's like still perfectly safe to be in, but it was kind of a copy paste formula that had problems that kind of exist on every floor and all 3 buildings.
Are there any other questions? No? All right. Thanks, Nova.
Thank you.
Okay, so to preface the next executive report, we are talking a lot about SGA constitutional changes. So one aspect about that is an implementation timeline of when is this actually going to pass? When are we going to be putting things forward? Who's going to be doing it? And so on and so forth. So I'm just letting you guys know now that we are very, very likely going to have a special session called Over the Winter Break. This will just be to actually
Ratified?
thank you. Yes, my brain frazzled out of existence right there. Just to ratify the constitutional changes, to actually implement them so that we can get them going before the school year starts or the next semester starts. So yeah, just letting you guys know about that. So
Can you reload my slide? I just gave.
yes.
So like Nova said, PSAC is starting tomorrow. Probably going to be the only meeting of the semester because it's literally what November 16th today. So, not much going on there. However, PSAC will probably be the first merger into SGA with our constitutional changes. It was kind of the easiest one. And Shahan, who is one of the co-chairs, was pretty on board with it. Also, just in the fun fact, SGA is probably about 40% of the board, and it takes a simple majority to vote to dissolve it. So just from a corruption standpoint, we kind of have that. So there's that as well. I'm also going to meet tomorrow with Dean Stetz, so she knows about the SGA changes because it is a lot. And just technically, Kaylin and Graham and Rachel are our advisors, but like, of course, Dean Stetz is over students. So in a way, she is our ultimate advisor. So I'll get her opinions about all that tomorrow. But then before I click this link into the constitutional updates really briefly, just to kind of touch again on what Joel said, the goal for that special session is that you guys, like how I do now, will fully be aware of the changes you're voting on. And that meeting can just be any last minute questions or issues you may have that you want to bring up. But for the most part, like that meeting should be like a 20-minute max meeting. It's literally just log in, vote. That should be all it is.
There's something in the chat. I don't know who it was for.
I'm watching it. It's a nice message from Isaiah. I'm watching online. Don't worry.
So a note about the discussion for the constitutional updates. These are pretty technical updates and modifications. So I am going to be pretty strict about timing unless we have a motion or so on and so forth to extend the time limit. We're going to be starting out with a 10-minute max discussion time period. But after that, have fun.
Okay, so I'm going to do this relatively quickly. I already know that there's one main issue that we want to talk about in terms of Senate structure. Everything else, for the most part, that has been changed is very slight technical stuff and is more so just implementing the changes that I've put forth already. So this won't be that long. This is an active document, so it's kind of always changing. The preamble changed a little bit. It just kind of the best way to say Nova is the one that created this entire constitution. And basically,
Do you want me to present it?
Huh?
Do you want me to present it?
No. So Nova is the one that basically presented and made most of this constitutional changes, but there's just a couple things that I just wanted to showcase for senators, which is why I said no, not senators.
Okay, I get it.
So the preamble changed just a little bit. For the most part, it's essentially the same thing. We just blue means that it's like an entirely new line. Red means that it got this little bit more. But yeah, that's the preamble. That's pretty much the same change. This just establishes, the different board boards of the Student Government Association, nothing new there. Like I said, the majority of these changes aren't actual changes, it's just clarifying things. For example, we specify what a voting member is, just because that's technically never really been defined before, which caused a bit of issue. I know this is something we'll come back to. The original wording of this section and another section was that it basically made it seem as though senators are chosen from specific student organizations, which I know some people like Senator Samoan had issues with that I recognize. I think there was a mistranslation, and for what was written, and we talked about it before at the Constitutional Convention, as well as in my Discord message about what it was supposed to say. I think got just a little bit lost. The idea isn't that like BSU or like ASO or like Prism specifically gets a Senate seat. It's that the constituents that they serve get a seat, and we just work through those organizations for that. So it's not necessarily that Prism gets a seat, but it's that, you know, LGBTQ plus students get a seat. And for us to do that, we worked with Prism because that is technically the representative body. That's the idea of how it works. I see Graham's on it too. That's the idea how it works. That's currently how it works right now through PSAC. That is literally their structure, is that they talk to Prism, BSU, SAC, which is for athletes, and that's how they get their members. As well as to just across any other university. That's also how that works. You just talk to other representatives. It's not that we're saying that these boards are more important than other organizations. That's not it. It's just that they represent students. And we also represent students, so it's just to help us be able to get the right amount of people. So I just wanted to clarify that, but I'm sure there'll be a question about that later on. Oh, and here's the exact passage that was the issue. It got a little bit changed. I see the wording of things will probably constantly alter up until the day that we actually decide to vote on it. So, but that's the idea of the wording. That's it. This is just simple stuff about approving student organizations. So this section is Senate's duties and powers, which is, you know, resolutions, bills, overriding a presidential veto, which I don't really know the last time that happens. But there was a whole section here about like what an org had to do in order to be approved by Senate. That is.
There is an important thing here that was not in the previous draft, which is section or subsection 5 here. This is one of the conflict of interests subsections we've added for senators.
Yeah, that's a very important point. There is no conflict of interest clause, which is why it's kind of weird when, like, you know, when a senator proposes a student organization, there technically is no like process for not voting on that. We just tell you to vote abstain if you do that. So that's what this is, and there's also a little bit more conflict of interest stuff later on. Thank you for reminding me of that. But yeah, we just moved what club has to do in order to get approved. That's going to be moved to the bylaws. Literally in the Constitution, it says like the questions you're supposed to ask yourself to get approved. It just didn't really make sense to me in the Constitution. That's why it's getting moved. And we also are just kind of saying as like a blanket statement. You have to work with OCL to figure it out. So it's partly on us, partly on OCL. But like I said, that's going to be in the bylaws mostly. This is about executive sessions, which we've just witnessed just now. We had a little bit of discussion about that. We're going to keep them in just because I do think me and Joel believe that there was reasoning for them, just in a case that something does need to be a little bit more sensitive and not known to the public, but that's just that. And then here, a special position of senators, it has dwindled to just one, the liaison with the presses. So that is basically
My existence here is the only thing saving that.
yeah. The other roles like archivist, parliamentarian, things like that are kind of getting combined into some executive board roles, like it's called the executive secretary and the executive assistant, which I'll get more into in just a second. But as of right now, there pretty much is only Chris's role is the only special position. Senator of office, nothing too crazy here. Resignations, nothing too crazy here. Something that we are creating is the Office of the Executive Vice President, which is just going to be the EVP, which is Joel, our executive assistant, which we don't have one right now, and this executive secretary. Kind of combined, they make this Office of the Vice President, and that's kind of the main office that'll be making sure SGA is operating correctly. That's basically their whole job. Yeah. For vacancies, it'll work as it does right now for years, college and at large, and just that someone can just nominate someone, then we go to approve them, yes or no. It'll work a little bit differently for a vacancy, say for the Black senator or the LGBT plus senator. That'll just be, we have to work with that organization or the group of organizations, either or. And we basically just kind of go off of their recommendation of how they want to do it. So basically just someone from that org or from the orgs can nominate someone and then you vote on them that way. That's how that would work It kind of works like kind of like how it is in the United States. If a senator drops out, the governor of that state nominates someone. They serve a Senate, then they have a special election. That's pretty much how it would work, but just that special election would just be within the Senate. So there's that. That's just saying exactly what to do stuff. For EVP, I've been over this the last time. There is a couple new positions. Vice President of Finance, or the Finance Board Chair. The VP of Engagement is kind of a combined role of communication and events, and the end goal of that being that we take over Union Board, and there's kind of a corporate SGA, so that's what that is. And then we have VP of Student Life split into thirds of Campus Life, Residence Life, and Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. With Campus Life being mostly what Nova does right now, Residence Life being basically the new RHA, which is going to be an SGA, and then DEI is just a completely new position, and the name is kind of self-explanatory from there. But then this is just kind of going into everything that every single vice president does, but you can kind of get the gist by the names. One thing that is important to note from the president's side, so I do have the power to veto. However, that was really controversial last year, and just that the Constitution wasn't specific about certain things. So we changed it to that I have to consult, or by me, I'm saying the president has to consult the Office of Campus Life before a veto is actually made. But the president either way cannot veto a J board nomination, a financial committee nomination, or a financial committee allocation, which is how it is right now. That's the same. Things were just changed to update names. A lot of stuff you see in blue for finance is just because finance board is now finance committee. That's most of the changes. Academic affairs, same old. Engagement is making sure that there's an active engagement on campus, stuff like that. Campus life is mostly going to be dealing with facilities issues, stuff like that, and resident life will be any residents concerns that RHA currently does will be through that. I'm going to be meeting up with RHA soon to kind of get a little bit more specifics about what they do, and that'll be incorporated into the residence life role. For the most part, student life as we know it is basically becoming campus life, and then just anything related to residence stuff will be there, and then diversity, equity, inclusion stuff will be there. Most of what Nova does will be through campus life. And I think I'm pretty much done there. This is just JBoard stuff. One important note. The Constitution is unspecific in that it doesn't say who is supposed to nominate the administrative justice for J board. I nominate every single justice on the judicial board, right? Everyone gets that. However, the administrative justice, it's implied that I nominate them, but it's never specifically said. The AJ is basically not AJ, but the AJ is basically just the vice chair of the J board. So the way that it is right now is that I just nominate them as a justice, and then the chief justice can basically elevate them to be the administrative justice. That's how it's written right now, because it was never. But yeah, so now we have an executive secretary. That's a new role. They're going to be basically the parliamentarians, so making sure, helping out Joel, and making sure we're doing Robert's Rules of Orders, different things like that. And they're going to be kind of the person, also the sergeant at arms as well. I almost forgot. They're going to be moving people in and out of the room when we discuss stuff like that. But they're also going to be, no, that's executive assistants. So yeah, secretary is parliamentarian and sergeant at arms kind of combined, and then the executive assistant will be kind of the main person keeping attendance at meetings. I see your hand, as well as kind of being the main kind of record keeper for student government.
The general idea is that SGA really struggles with keeping its records very active and for a long period of time. So the idea is to establish a role whose dedicated job is to do that. That's the role of the secretary, as well as during Senate meetings, they will be acting as parliamentarian and sergeant at arms. So the person who's moving people in and out of the rooms, and the person who makes sure that we follow our own rules effectively. Whereas the executive assistant will be assisting by writing meeting minutes, keeping track of attendance, just kind of the regular things that currently Isaiah is doing.
I should not be doing. I should not be the rule keeper, but I'm doing it. This document's in the e-board drive. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are you okay, Nova, if I make a view only copy for senators, just some of the comments on after today?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll do that.
Let's talk about that after the meeting.
Sure. So I might do that. But that's pretty much all the changes thus far. Other things too, I might slightly change the oath of office. Also, I agree. I saw this today. This is a really weird system. We'll talk about it later. But yeah, Next up, I think, yeah, he's starting the committees. I haven't read that part yet, so I'm not even gonna bother. But that's how it is right now. Hopefully, like I said, you've seen that we've been putting updates into the Discord chat. We want you guys to be as involved as possible. We do always meet 12 to 1 on Saturdays, but I know not everyone can make that, which is why I've been spending a lot of my executive work just covering things. Okay, I think with that, I'm done. So I'll take a couple questions.
Okay, cool. I think we'll actually just do like just a general question discussion period.
Sure.
Make that the longer 10-minute period. That way things can kind of flow a little bit better rather than dedicating a time entirely to questions and then discussion afterwards. That just doesn't make much sense in this context. So go on ahead. Does anyone have any questions or points of discussion or things that they'd like to know? Tessa.
In the wording there,
Yes.
it's under the veto power.
Yeah.
It makes it seem like approval has to be consulted with OCL.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's just a grammar mistake. That's a good point.
That's how the original language was, but
Yeah, I see your point, because it's just veto power. How do you spell grammar? Oh my God, is it with an A? It is.
I would love to, once the changes have been made, to go through, do the proofreading and stuff like that. That's my jam.
On that note from Chris, this was something we discussed before the meeting. One thing I really don't like about constitutions in general is their unfriendliness to the public. You have to either spend the time to read it all or struggle to find what you're doing. So one of the things I want to work with all of you, but with Chris, is making it A, more friendly to read, and B, potentially working with Elia, Vice President of Communications, to create some media that might help like simplify SGA to someone who doesn't need to read a whole constitution to get the gist of it.
Yeah, my main concern in terms of language is that, again, we are an international school. And while we all can, even write English since we're here, like for some people, it is a little bit harder. And like we use, like this stuff is pretty, like I'm going to say flowery kind of language because it's very official. And I feel like we can convey the same things without using the same language and make it more accessible to people.
I also just added to Nova. I believe in the current constitution, my approval on things is automatic after like or something like that. If I don't officially sign it, like there's just an automatic.
That was an amendment we made.
Yeah, I think that that needs to get added. Yeah, because I don't really approve things. I'm supposed to sign stuff. I don't do that. I just.
Yeah, the original system was you had to sign.
Wait, like physically?
I'm supposed to sign everything you guys pass. I don't do that, and I'm not going to.
And we passed an amendment last year to.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. So. All right. Anything else? I can't see online, so.
I don't see anything on mine.
So basically, I mean, I really like most of the changes to this. And I love the merging. I love the structure of pretty much everything, except, I am a senator. And so I am concerned of basically how the Senate is being basically arranged.
Okay.
I really like that there will be representatives that are going to be talking to organizations. I really think that's a really good idea. And it's a way to sort of connect us with organizations. I don't like how it's like being exclusive to certain groups of people. I think that's kind of like it makes it discriminatory in a way. And it's just not fair to like, I know the idea is to give everyone a voice. And I totally am on board with that. I think everyone should have a voice and everyone should have an equal say. But the way we're doing it is like filtering it through these student orgs. It's placing a value on those student orgs that, I was looking through the student orgs and about 24 of the orgs kind of fit those groups that you mentioned. And we have like 170 orgs. So, 140 other orgs are not being, represented under that system. And I think, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I made like a whole presentation. And I actually created a completely new system that's kind of based off of what you got, but it just makes things more fair, and it allows just everyone's voice to be heard, everyone to be included. And I do want to present that either at the next legislative session. This Saturday, there's like a leadership workshop, like literally like at the same time. So
What time is it?
it's like from 10 to 2.
It's the
Leadership Academy.
Yeah.
We can move it then.
So, yeah, because I'm gonna be attending that. So it's gonna be, if you're able to move the legislative session, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I do have, like, it is kind of a crazy idea, but I think it would be a better structure. And it does do everything that you're trying to achieve with trying to elevate these voices. And it does it in a way that's fair to everyone else, basically. I think that you'll like the new structure, but obviously I'm gonna have to present that at the
Right.
session.
Okay. For one, like, as a response, it's not that I don't really care to represent any org in SGA because we can't do that. It's about representing the people that they're supposed to. It's not that it's not that Black student gets a seat, it's that the Black students on this campus have a seat. Who is the organization that represents Black students on campus? Oh, Black Student Union, SB, African Student Union, organizations like that. It's not that those orgs get a seat. I could care less if their senator is on their board. It's just that we collaborate with them to ensure that Black students get a seat. And I'm using that as an example, but that's the same case for SAC, for Greek Council, all that type of stuff. I could care less if they're actually in that. It's just that they are someone involved in that community.
On that, I want to say we have changed the language. Because we are all, at least anyone who has attended the sessions or the conventions, we all agree with your point that the original wording was a little weird on that first draft. We want it to be of the student demographic. As of another thing, which is something we kind of sped through when Isaiah was giving the review, is for student orgs. One of the new things that the vice president of campus life will be taking on, in part of shedding some of the responsibilities that the student life role currently has, is to work with all existing student organizations to ensure SGA represents them. So specifically organizations, this is separate from the whole demographic system, because this was a concern I believe you had, was making sure all student orgs are represented. And one of the new jobs for the VP of campus life will be to ensure that to create a system to work with all the student orgs in order to have their interests represented. And then we'll also have another way that's kind of handled is through currently what is finance board, soon to be finance committee. They also act as a body to represent student interests. So, yeah.
Just letting people be aware that we have 2 minutes left currently.
Can we take 7?
By how long?
5 minutes, maybe.
Do we have a motion to extend by 5 minutes? Do I have a second?
I also just, before you make a second to that, just keep in mind that this is not the entirety of this discussion. Like, the majority of this will happen later. Like, everything, all your points don't need to happen right now. We won't make any further changes before we talk to you and hear everything. So I just want everybody aware of that. Like, I don't want this conversation to drag out because it will, and it's 8:40 p.m. So,
All right, then I'll just wait till.
sure. I was just responding to your statement.
No, you make a fair point.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
You're rescinding your motion?
Yeah, right.
Cool. I will say then, because we do have a couple minutes left. You said it's 10 to 2 on Saturday?
I believe, yeah.
Okay. Because I guess we can meet directly after that for the most part. 2:30 or so. And I'll say this in the Discord. So I'll just tell me when it is, and then we'll just meet like 30 minutes after that. We'll go from there. Yeah. Okay, I'll say that in Discord. Okay.
Are there any other questions, comments, concerns? Cockroaches that we need to squash? Squirrels that we need to get out of the Constitution or put into the Constitution?
Squirrels.
I personally think that there should be squirrels all over that.
The new logo is
The
three
new logo?
squirrels sitting at a table.
No, just squirrel faces.
Thank you. I just want to say, even though we are kind of cutting the conversation short, that we do truly care about every single student opinion. The whole point we're creating this is to create a more equitable system for students, for senators, for student boards, for administration and the campus as a whole. We want to create a system where students and admin can communicate effectively. And part of that is having this dialogue, having this discussion. So I want to encourage all of you attend I know it's on a Saturday and you might be in bed later and you kind of just want to chill, but if you can, please do attend the session. We're moving it to a better time to help accommodate. If you can't do that, legislative comments, I've been posting all the drafts there. Just talk, ask if, anyone's remotely interested in SGA, even if they're not like currently a senator, ask what they want to see from SGA. Just, keep the dialogue going because that's what we really do want.
And then I'll just say to conclude my report, then we'll go to you, Graham. Just second Nova said, like, I'm not cutting this short just to be like, I'm done with the conversation. It's just that I'm trying to be respectful of everyone's time. But to second on, if you can't make the meeting or anything like that, I quite literally don't have a class on Friday. I do nothing all day. I sit in my bed. So if you just want to chat with me at the SGA office or call me, whatever, let me know of your opinion. Please tell me so. I literally don't do anything on Fridays. So I can meet with you then. So I just want that to be noted.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Comments? That we're going to move on to Graham. Take it away.
Okay. So next week on Monday and Tuesday, OCL will be on the bridge doing some like Thanksgiving related thankful activities. So I believe there'll be some snacks. So swing on by. Just wanted to let you all know about that. The bigger block of programming will be after the November break when we come back from November 28th through December 2nd is our pre-finals self-care week. OCL has programming on the bridge. Union Board is doing a few things. I know the library is offering programming. So we are in the works on getting schedules out so students know everything that's coming up. And I know some student orgs are doing things as well. And then that, I guess, kind of leads into what's it called? Finals relief breakfast or final late night breakfast, excuse me. And so that's still on for December 5th. And so planning is underway with that. Last week, RHA and Isaiah representing SGA met with me and Janessa from ResLife to discuss some collaboration that we could do for this. So that's in the works, and be happy to answer any questions you have or give you any specifics about some of that programming I mentioned.
Okay. Cool. Are there any questions for Graham?
Yeah. Do we have any control on what the menu will be for that, or is that just Chartwell's? Do you know?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll take input. I know Amber, who has kind of been our point of contact, and then Steven, who she works with closely, I don't know, they like to mix it up. They like to have fun with programming. And so if students feel strongly about something, I mean, let us know and I can relay that info to Amber. I don't know what they've served in the past, but I think they try to do more than just like basic pancakes and eggs. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I just, I have some suggestions.
Okay, yeah, you can always let me know, and I still meet with them on a regular basis, unrelated to late night breakfast. So I think my next meeting with them, it would have been on the 23rd, but I'm gonna be out of the office that day. But send it to me in an email and I'll pass it along.
Thank you. Moving on, then we have Senator, wait, do you have a question?
No, I have a senator report.
Oh, go.
On that note, I forgot to have this on my slide. I do have a food advisory board meeting on the 29th. It is the last one of the semester. If you're interested, you've always been invited, but you're extra invited to this one. If you have concerns about late night, also, since Friendsgiving is over, I can say this, you can share the late night information with anyone. It was kind of supposed to be a secret. I already told you guys last week, so I already broke that. But now you can extra share it, and I'm extra sharing it here. On December 5th, if you have suggestions, reach out to Graham, he already said it, or if you want to talk to the cool person, reach out to me, and I'll meet with them on the 29th.
Can we do an informal vote on who the coolest?
Who's the coolest campus life person?
I mean, why not? I don't have anything to tally.
No, I want to go home.
What was that? All right. Are there any other senator reports? And seeing none, is there anything for open floor?
Yeah.
Chris?
Last issue for this semester of Tech News drops tomorrow.
True.
Give it a read. We got some cool stuff. Angela did a really cool piece on the 85th anniversary of Institute of Design. We got some cool, we got like a short story in one of the back pages by one of our writers, make you feel some emotions. I have some photography of the miniature rooms of the Art Institute, which is free for us, so go. Yeah, and so I'm pretty stoked about it. Please check us out.
I did a cool piece on Tech News too. It's also going to be on tomorrow's issue.
It's actually kind of bad, sorry.
What? Okay, I think
Cool.
VP.
It was cool.
Thank you. It was about the midterm election.
Yeah, it was a
But
good
I did
recap.
my research.
It was a good recap because I was not paying attention.
If you weren't paying attention, I think it's really
Was there a works cited page?
there's work cited in it. It don't need a page, it's in it. That's how.
Mr.
works
President.
it is.
Isaiah.
I have three things, because I kind of meant to do this on my report, but I forgot. For one, DePaul University, Wilbur Wright College, and Loyola University, we've been in talks about planning some inter-campus events, probably of just kind of hanging out at museum campus. And they really want to do that next semester. And I just want to let you guys know that is still like a thing that's going on. Everything else related to One Chicago, though, a big question mark. I'll be sure to follow up on that. At least on my end, I don't know how yours is going. That's one. For two, tell your friends, spread the word now. We are planning on having a general assembly at the beginning of next semester in January. It's going to be a town hall format, so you can ask questions to administrators. That's what Noah was hinting at before. So hopefully we'll have presidential body there, maybe the provost, dean of students, but also like more lower level administrators that we work with more often, like OCL. Rachel will be back by then, so we can ask her about her baby, and facilities and people like that. So spread the word. That'll be January. The events committee is handling that. What was the last thing? The last thing I was going to say was about RHA. RHA has been so far pretty warm to the idea of pushing into student government, but I will still talk to them later on just to kind of get their final yes or no opinion on that. Oh, and happy Thanksgiving, everyone. It's next week. I hope you have safe travel home if you're going home. I'll be in Italy, so do not contact me.
Italy, damn.
You just told us to contact you earlier and now you're like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
that's
contact
until
me."
Saturday, Sunday until the following Sunday. Do not talk. Oh, yeah.
All right. So, are there any other items for open floor?
Please.
I have a second for the motion to adjourn. All right, leave.
All right.
Can't wait to
didn't mean to
walk
see-
home in this cold.
It's 9 p.m. Yeah, I didn't.
Walking in the.
I was really excited.
So nice.
Isaiah.
a really long time for me to explain.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had some what's like thought out.
About that, Eric.
Just like.
So I should be sending you a proposal for later tonight.
Like, it's.
We could just set the current one, the one that's.
It's kind of wacky. No. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. That would be nice. No. There were like SBA things that we have is the EVP and the president get books.
That's it. I don't care about representing.
And we get, no, we get a passed down version of Robert's Rule of Order and another, like.
No, and I figured that. Like,
Anyway, I'll let you know what's going on. We'll get you some.
I'm very confident about that.
Right.
Okay, sounds good.
So I hate the ability to stay here.
All right, I'll see you then.
Thing is.